Matthew Perry was trying to tell us something before his death.
I want people to understand that they're not alone.
Somebody gave Matthew Perry enough ketamine that they use in general anesthesia, and he was left in a hot tub.
Who this female celebrity could be that is being investigated in Matthew Perry's passing.
Brooke Mueller.
Charlie Sheen's ex-wife.
She's not saying anything. I do wonder if she had anything to do with this.
Matthew Perry's death still isn't sitting right with fans. Recently, police have announced that there will be several people arrested in connection with his passing. Now, there's a list of celebrities who are being investigated and could be arrested for their role in his death. So let's get into it. I've been nervous to do a deep dive into this story because I don't want someone to come after me. But law enforcement believes that there should be multiple people charged in reference to Matthew Perry's death. This kind of story reminds me of how evil the industry can be and how there can be multiple people involved in someone's passing. Multiple really important people, surprising people, who we will get into. It looks like his death is related to ketamine, which is a drug, I was gonna say popular drug. It's not really popular yet. It's becoming more and more popular in LA, and it's a sedative. It's something that makes you like tranquilize. So remember, I think he passed in his hot tub, so drowning because of the ketamine. His manner of death was ruled to be accidental, with the autopsy report revealing that he had ketamine in his system, which contributed to him drowning. It looks like he was using ketamine as a medication to treat opioid disorder. Not exactly sure where he was in his recovery, but ketamine is an intense drug. Matthew Perry has been super open about his struggles with addiction, and it seems like he was using ketamine infusion therapy to kind of help him, I guess, handle it, so he's not drinking or doing other drugs.
I want people to understand that they're not alone, that there are other people feeling exactly the way they're feeling, that their behavior is not insane, that they have a disease, and it's not their fault.
Rest in peace to Matthew Perry, but let's talk a little bit about this investigation. Reports write that Matthew Perry's death investigation has recently taken a new turn when an A-list celebrity handed over their laptop and cell phone in a new update. A source says that a woman was brought in for multiple interviews with law enforcement after the LAPD made a significant progress in its investigation. Law enforcement went to the mystery woman's residence with a search warrant in LA, but she was not present. When she came back, she was completely cooperative with authorities. Officers reportedly took an iPhone and a computer, adding the woman surrendered everything. The source mentions that the woman, the mystery woman, and Matthew Perry actually met in rehab where they began their friendship. Now she's getting involved in this investigation, so she's hired lawyers and has had multiple meetings with law enforcement. They actually arrived at her sober living house with a search warrant. The insider claims that she's being tight-lipped about the situation. The insider claims it's tough to say or know exactly what her role, this woman's role in Matthew's death would be, but she's adamant she has nothing to do with it. She claims they leaned on each other. She has been an emotional wreck. This could send her over the edge whether she's involved or not. Now everyone is trying to figure out who this mystery woman is, and we've got some great investigators like Becca on TikTok, and I love her, take on this because she's always so good at pinpointing who this person could be, and it's pretty surprising.
This is just a theory that I have on who this female celebrity could be that is being investigated in Matthew Perry's passing. And while I don't know if I believe Doja Cat is the person who the police investigated because of this, I think it's someone else. Doja Cat posted this picture as promotion for her song that was coming out, and it says Demons on the top, and it looks just like the Friends logo. It's the Friends couch, this Friends photo shoot, same couch, same location, lamp, everything's the same. As you can see where it says Demons, one of the dots is missing, and people were saying that represented Matthew Perry, and then people were tying it back to how Matthew Perry talked about how he accidentally dabbled into some like darker practices before he got his big break and was casted in Friends, and like people were saying that Doja Cat knew that he had like gone through like this ritual or whatever it was, and he had basically lost his life because of the spiritual deal that he had made.
Now, I don't think Doja Cat is actually the person who is responsible here, though it was a little bit, I guess, cryptic to see that she was like playing on the Friends thing when she was also doing her satanic moment. Now, Doja got her fair share of backlash for trying to include that little Friends campaign moment, but there's someone else we should more seriously look at. Now, granted, this person is in Palm Beach, or at least a Palm Beach socialite, but here's a blind item. The celebrity who had their house searched in connection with the death of an A-lister also had some things said about her from this A-list dual threat actor who starred on a very, very long-running network comedy and who also has a long history with addiction. And this is about someone named Brooke Mueller, Matthew Perry, of course, and Charlie Sheen. Brooke is actually Charlie Sheen's ex-wife, but this report reads, Palm Beach socialite turned actress Brooke Mueller has been contacted multiple times during a widespread investigation launched after the Friends star died in October 2023. Authorities reportedly attempted to contact Brooke at a sober living house where she's been staying, but the actress wasn't home when officers arrived.
I knew it. Brooke Mueller. Now, this makes a lot of sense with all the clues and hints that we were getting from all the sources. Basically married to an A-list celebrity that has a household name. But yeah, old Brooke here has had a pretty bad history with like substance abuse. And I mean, can you blame her? I'm sure she went through a lot. But this definitely makes sense on like how they would know each other, you know, the circles and everything of Hollywood. But she's not saying anything. So it sounds like this story is getting deeper and deeper. I really do wonder, if she had anything to do with this. And what would be the motive? But also realize this, when Mac Miller passed away from an overdose, the DEA got involved there in LA and they caught those people right away. So when you're a celebrity and something like this happens, it doesn't just go away.
Let's talk a little bit about who Brooke is, because she actually comes from money, so it wasn't a big leap for her to start dating celebrities and eventually marrying Charlie Sheen, who also has a lot of issues with drugs. They actually have 2 kids together, and it looks like she's still going through her issues with addiction, staying at a sober living home in California. Now, Brooke may be cooperative, handing over her iPhone and her laptop, and she's claiming she's had nothing to do with this, but the investigators are claiming that there will be multiple people who will be charged. So it makes me question to what extent Brooke could be involved. Maybe it's because they are illegally obtaining the ketamine and sharing it around. I'm not sure. Brooke and Charlie Sheen were married for 3 years before divorcing in 2011. A judge recently granted Charlie Sheen full custody of their twin sons after Brooke failed a drug or alcohol test. Remember that ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic drug with established medical and surgical uses. In Matthew Perry's case, he was using it for depression and anxiety. Now, what's interesting here is that his last known treatment was more than 1 week prior to his death, which, you know, I've only seen people like snort ketamine. I don't know what it means by infusing it, but the examiner claims that the ketamine in his system at death could not be from that infusion therapy. So he must have got it on the side and maybe been doing it the old nose way instead of the infusion, the fancy way. So if he wasn't getting it through this infusion, which I guess is approved to treat the anxiety and depression, then where did he get it? Maybe that's where we're starting to see this investigation play out.
The amount of ketamine he had in his system during his death was consistent with the levels that you would use for general anesthesia. So you're telling me somebody gave Matthew Perry enough ketamine that they use in general anesthesia and he was left in a hot tub. And now the celebrity being named as a person of interest and they're literally taking her phone and her laptop and everything is Charlie Sheen's ex-wife. There's been accusations against Charlie Sheen for quite some time, if you guys remember Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. So the fact that his ex-wife is the one being named and possibly taking out Matthew Perry.
Now, his death has already been ruled accidental, but I wonder if they'll go back and change that, especially because Matthew Perry's ketamine suppliers could face charges as they are probing in this investigation. Looks like the LAPD is working with the Drug Enforcement Administration to get the source of this ketamine and probably to do a big round of catches, because there is a lot of people using it. Like, I'm not into those things. I like to be alert. Like, I'm drinking my Red Bull. I'm good with that. I don't want anything that's gonna make me down. Like, I don't prefer those, but I have seen people use it, and I've actually helped people where they are like incoherent and like they can't even speak for themselves. So I could totally see how he would drown being on that drug. Like I can't imagine someone using it in a hot tub. That is so scary. Now there are some weird conspiracies associated with Matthew Perry's death. For example, there's one I came across that involves Batman, and I want you guys to take a look at this. Matthew Perry posted about Batman on Instagram 7 times before his death, and here are his connections to the superhero. Now Matthew was a known fan of the superhero and even had a bat cave in his LA home. In the last line in his memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, he writes, "What would Batman do?" So he was a big fan of the superhero and the storyline, which is cute. I mean, one thing he writes in his book is that the one thing he got right was that he never gave up. And that's because I stand tall now, ready for whatever comes next. Someday you too might be called upon to do something important, so be ready for it. And when whatever happens, just think, what would Batman do? On a darker note, in his memoir and in his interviews, Matthew Perry said alcoholism was like the Joker. He said alcoholism did not care I was on Friends. Alcoholism wants you alone, it wants you sick, and then it wants to kill you. In my book, I compare it to the Joker because the Joker just wants to see the whole world burn, and so does alcoholism and addiction. In an interview with GQ, he was quoted saying, "I am Batman. Well, he's a rich loner. We both drive black cool cars. I don't solve crime, but I've saved people's lives." Aw. And although it's sweet that Matthew Perry has this admiration for Batman, it was a little bit spooky to see that all of his posts were about the superhero, especially right before he passed.
Matthew Perry was trying to tell us something before his death with his references to Batman. In the week prior to his passing, he would post multiple posts referencing Batman. And this is what had people speculating for a long time that something isn't right with Matthew Perry's death. It would start out with "No need to worry, everybody. I've got the streets tonight," with the Batman movie showing, and this was October 17th, 2023. And then 2 days later, he would post this Batman symbol in the water saying, "Sleep well, everybody. I've got the city tonight, Batman." Then he would post again on October 22nd, "Do you know what I mean?" And then posted again on October 22nd, "Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? I'm Batman." And then Matthew Perry's very last post shows him in a hot tub. And honestly, the Batman symbol could mean 2 things. And we know that Batman himself fights against evil. And we also know that the police department used the Batman symbol to call for help from Batman. And a lot of people speculate that what Matthew Perry was talking about was the evils throughout Hollywood.
If Matthew Perry was up to something bigger and exposing something bad, I could see them wanting to get rid of him. This person commented, he wrote in his book, "If I ever need help, I'll put up the bat signal," but no one caught on to what he was saying. And that would be unfortunate if that was his way of calling out for help, but people couldn't really figure it out. Nonetheless, his death is still weighing on me. I feel like it just happened like yesterday. I think actually I was in New York when it happened. I remember I was out at a bar and I had like the TMZ like notification, and I remember telling people like, "Oh my gosh, Matthew Perry passed away," and everyone was like whoa, shocked. It just like stopped the world. So I hope he is at peace. But yeah, if there are people who are responsible, if there are celebrities involved, then they need to be held accountable. I want to see it. I want to see it happen. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in a new one soon. Bye, guys.